Let us start by giving a background as to why we instituted these hearings. The aim of the hearings is to find out what happened. We first started with the mediation, which we informed the media about, and then we decided the mediation process needed to be taken to another space of hearings because there were a few discrepancies, a few conflicting facts. So we needed to take it to a hearing. Those of you that have been part of our hearings, you should be familiar with them now. What we normally do is to start with the swearing in of people who will be presenting. We take it, you already have a list of people who will say anything. Better have more people than less. We understand that maybe it's not all the information that will come from Prophet Bushiri. The other members, I see you've got a big team. So whoever needs to be sworn in will be sworn in. And then secondly, after the swearing in, will then commence. The process, we've got several people who will give evidence in these hearings. We'll start with the CGE Church. ECG, you see, old age, that's fine. ECG Church, and then we'll then have SANCO, and then tomorrow we'll have the Tshwane municipality and the Joburg municipality. Only tomorrow. We understand that SANCO has brought the family from Pretoria. They'll be part of the SANCO presentations because they wanted to say something. Right. So what I'm going to do, what we normally do, is to then hand over to our legal team. Have you decided who's going to speak? There's no limit in terms of numbers. Yeah. Oh.
Okay, if everyone can raise their right hands. I, your name, hereby swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Thank you very much. You may be seated.
How we're going to conduct this, I will hand over to you to give an overview of the church. When was it established? How was it established? How do you normally go about before you have an event? What legal issues are looked into in terms of permits and those types of things generically? And then we'll then zoom in into the event, the incident we're talking about. But let's first get a generic overview, then we'll zoom in into the event. What we'll then do after the first person has presented whatever, I might have points of clarity. Thereafter, I'll hand over to the commissioners to then get to the points of clarity as well. So I'll hand over to Prophet Bushiri, and then we'll hear what he has to say. Thanks.
Thank you so much. On behalf of the Enlightened Christian Gathering Church, I'm hereby to make a brief presentation of our brief summary this morning. First and foremost, I'd like to observe our protocol. To start with is an introduction of our church, ECG Church. First of all, ECG Church is an arm of Prophet Shepherd Bushiri Ministries, in short PSBM, which was founded by myself, Prophet Shepherd Bushiri, in the city of Mzuzu, Malawi. The church began its operations in Malawi in 2010, and over the years expanded the establishment of branches in different countries, among others Zambia, South Africa, Botswana, Kenya, USA, India, and Australia. Operation South Africa began in 2012, wherein it was formally constituted and legally registered with the CIPC. I then joined South Africa as the General Overseer later in 2015. As of today, ECG has branches in over 178 countries across the world. All these branches are governed by an umbrella body, the ECG International Church, which has its headquarters in Pretoria, South Africa. And I am the president of the church. The church has 3 regular weekly services, namely the Monday night diplomatic service, the Friday night midweek service, and the general Sunday service. Currently, an estimate of about 15,000 to 25,000 people attends these services. Besides these services, the church also holds international visitors program every fortnight. The program entails people traveling from various parts of the world to have a one-on-one spiritual moment with the prophet. Each program brings roughly around 30,000 people on average. Apart from the international visitors program, the church also holds annual and biannual festivals and events such as ECG Youth Magnets Festivals, Women on Fire Conference, Iron Men Conference, Salvation Festival, School of Seers, Pastors Conference, and the weekly stewards meetings. And in each event, roughly holds about 40,000 to 60,000 people. Further to that, the church also holds crossover night events on 31st December every year. Between 2015 to 2017, the church successfully and diligently held crossover nights at FNB Stadium in South Africa, consistently attracting not less than 100,000 people across the world. Last year, the church had another 2018 to 2019 crossover night event at Pretoria Showgrounds, attracting over 60,000 people due to the job application that made us to have the minimum number of attendees. Further to this, the church also manages global prophetic tours in different countries with a goal of winning souls for Jesus Christ. In these tours, the church, led by the prophet, myself, preaches to tens of thousands in stadiums, halls, and open grounds. In 2018, I traveled to over 58 countries, and among others includes USA, India, South Korea, Australia, Uganda, Tanzania, Nigeria, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Kenya, and different provinces of South Africa. Our estimates through our records indicate we managed to win more than 2.5 million people for Jesus Christ. Our contributions to the society. Beyond evangelism, our church has done and continue to do so much to contribute to the South African society, both through direct injection to the economy and also through our charity programs. The South African economy, through the city of Pretoria, has benefited so much through the religious tourism engineered by our church. Unlike Cape Town and Durban, Gauteng is not so much of a tourist destination. However, through our Fortnight International Visitors Program and other events, we have over 9,000 people coming to Gauteng every month. Pretoria, to be specific, or rather Tshwane. In research conducted by Dr. Archer Ani from Tshwane University of Technology, reveals that ECG congregants noted 90% stay between 1 to 2 days and 20% stay in commercial tourist accommodation. This basically proves the economic impact of religious tourism due to operation of ECG in Tshwane. Besides that, ECG also has been robust in doing charity works in South Africa through our charity arm, the Beacon of Hope. For instance, in 2018, during Nelson Mandela Day, the church launched a school adoption program at Kloof Waters Primary School in Rustenburg. We made several donations to the school to the tune of $40,000. The program continues this year as we target 5 more schools. Further, the church has, for the past 3 years, been working with the different child care centers and social welfare centers within Gauteng and Northwest Province. We consistently assist these centers with every emerging need to ensure that the less fortunate are given a decent life. Some of the centers include Koitumelo Child Care Center and Lebohang Orphan Care Center in Pretoria, and Crodol Shelter for the Homeless in Rustenburg, South Africa. This year, our team has lined up several charity programs which we are officially launching in this coming month of February in Limpopo. Our church, despite what we have achieved so far and what we are doing, we also are a victim of a lot of speculations. Despite the continued growth, our church has the undeniable positive impact on the South African society. Our church has, for years, suffered so much because of what I would call speculation. We have been victimized as a church, called all sorts of bad names, and sometimes punished based on outright falsehoods advanced by faceless groups of people, mostly on social media. Here are some of the examples. We have seen the media telling the public that I once said that South Africans love our church because they believe in magic miracles, unlike Malawians who believe in God. I have never said that. It is all lies. I challenge everybody out there who has such a recording of me saying that to come forward and face me with. We have also read stories circulating on social media that our church sells the blood of Jesus, and that my wife was pregnant of the Holy Spirit. They are all lies. Come to our church and inspect our materials. We are open and accessible. We also have stories that the church charged 25,000 rands to people who want to sit close to me at a gala dinner. The church doesn't even know who created the so-called poster, and the church has never had a such gala dinner. We have also read in the media that our church charges people for me to pray for them. That's shocking. We also call for such people to disguise themselves as congregants and find out if we charge people for prayers. We don't do that. There's just so much of these falsehoods out there that fuel speculations against our church. We are pleading with the media to challenge these speculations with the facts in our reporting. Friday, the 28th December 2018 incident. Despite an invariable 4-year incident, free history of crowd control as seen from different events and services that we have domestically and internationally hosted and managed successfully so far, the church experienced quite an unfortunate incident on the 28th December 2018 during its Friday midweek service. It was a regular Friday midweek service which starts at 18 hours. Congregants would normally start entering the halls of prayer between about 15 to 18 hours. However, on the particular day, Pretoria experienced unexpected high levels of thunderstorm that were accompanied by heavy rains and lightning. Most congregants were caught off guard. As a result, panic resulted as most of them began to run for shelter in church halls. It was this panic that caused the stampede at one of the halls. The church has an on-site paramedics company which handles all emergency activities within its premises. The immediate report we got from them was that there has been a stampede at one of the halls, and using the ambulances, they have evacuated 9 people who have suffered different injuries with varying intestines. Further, they reported that of the recorded 9 evacuated, 3 were heavily injured and had been taken to the approximate clinic for immediate attention. The rest were taken to a government hospital. They also assured the church that everything is in control and being duly and professionally handled by them. As most of the people attended hospital were rarely learned that the number of those who injured increased to 17 people. We were informed that most of those people are attended to clinic and hospital using other means such as private vehicles. Acting on their assurance, the church advised me, as I was not on the premises by then, to proceed with the service. Based on that, I arrived at the church and proceeded to be part of the service. It was in the last hours of the service where I was on the pulpit when the church was informed that the 3 that were heavily injured had passed on and confirmed dead at the clinic. I was briefed after the service. Immediately after that, the church was faced with the 2 pressing issues to oversee and manage. 1, the injured in the hospital, and 2, the 3 that passed on. It must be underlined here that the church was not hands-on in handling these 2 key issues. The paramedics, as professionals, took a lead in everything, while the church only took the responsibility of facilitating every professional instruction from the paramedics. As part of that, the church facilitated accommodation and transportation of all the injured congregants who, after treatment, were discharged. As for the beloved 3 that passed on, we were assured by the paramedics that they are making all the necessary legal and medical arrangements that guard funeral processes. The church administrators went to bed as late as 6 hours Central African time of the 29th of December 2018. We were assured that everything has been handled professionally. The church only came to know through the media that there was a case of bodies being moved from the church without the police and taken to the private mortuary. We also further learned that the Southern African Police Services had, based on that, opened a case of defeating the ends of justice against the church. It must be underlined here that the church left the management of the incident in the hands of the paramedics on the scene. From their report, there were only injuries at the scene of the incident, not deaths. The 3 died at the clinic as they were receiving treatment. However, the church did not have enough details as to what transpired at the clinic to have the bodies end up at the private mortuary. To get to the facts, the church took 2 measures. 1, it launched internal investigation that saw Pretoria branch resident pastor being suspended. And 2, the church welcomed SABC move to thoroughly investigate the matter and even pledged full cooperation and support. Identification of the bodies, burial arrangements, and compensations. The church took sole responsibility to repatriate the three that passed on to their final resting place of their family's choice. However, the greatest challenge was the process of identification, which the church is greatly indebted to SABC for making everything possible. The church can report here that the remains of the three were buried at places of their family's choice. The church took all the responsibilities in realizing with the beloved families, facilitating the repatriation, and most importantly, leading the ceremony in other areas, where in other areas, being officially present to be part of everything. Together with my wife, Mary Bushiri, I have personally met and condoned two of the three families. Consultations are underway for me and my wife to meet the remaining family. Despite being an accident, the church, as earlier communicated, took responsibility of everything that happened because, one, it happened at the church premises, and two, because those that passed were members of the ECG family. Because of this, the church is morally compelled to work on a compensation package that would help meet the responsibility gap left by those that died. The church has also commenced insurance claim process against public liability insurance, to which we request support of the beloved families. The church has further undertaken steps to supplement or top up insurance claim, as normally such insurance claims inherently do not have enough payout. In a view of this, the church sought advice from the CRL Rights Commission on how best this can be handled. The CRL Rights Commission moved that it will handle all the compensation package process and the church will only execute. As we stand, the church is still waiting from the CRL's direction. Compliance. It is important to note that the church has its health and safety policies in place and all supporting guidelines connected thereof. It is well known that in terms of the safety at Sports and Recreational Events Act 2010, Act 2 of 2010, SAFRI, the seat of Tshwane has the Joint Operations Committee, JOC. The seat will confirm that this committee is fully functional, to which the church is part of. JOC is responsible for mitigating disasters that may involve the city service departments, bylaw enforcement agencies, and departments that deal with event compliance. The stakeholders, therefore, among others, include, but not limited to, South African Police Services, Seat of Tshwane Metro Police for traffic control and road closures, fire safety, ambulance services, health services, such as the paramedics, disaster management, and others. It is this committee that ensures that all events or church services held at Pretoria Showgrounds are presented and approved beforehand. The church each year and monthly presents its services plan for approval, among others present JOC, church events overview and details, event risk categorization, to which JOC has over the years declared us to be medium risk. We also, as part of the church plans, present venue site plan, crowd management plan, public liability insurance plan, security plan, emergency services plan, application and approval of temporary structures, etc. What I have said here is what the church complies with. Without that, the church cannot be operational. This is why we have always been issued with compliance certificate for each and every service we ever had in the year 2018 and even all the years before. Allow me to pause and mention that we have reliably learned through the media that there was a document allegedly issued by the seat of Tshwane Emergency Services purporting to be bringing the church to court, wherein it was widely reported that as a church we're given 30 days within which to comply. Our lawyers took the matter within the city of Tshwane Emergency Services, and it was discovered and confirmed to our lawyers that the document was fake and does not exist. In fact, the seat of Tswane Emergency Services that visited our church premises for purposes of inspection has since distanced itself from such document. They have since laid their correct findings through our lawyers, to which they only found that date stamped on the body of our fire extinguishers had expired. I am happy to report to you that the church has rectified it and duly communicated the same to the landlord. To this we confirm and assure the public that we are legally registered and incorporated in accordance with the laws of the Republic of South Africa. Our certificate of registration allows us to operate as a church. We obtain job approval for each and every service head. We have all structures and all necessarily required compliance departments to ensure we comply in terms of Health and Safety Act and Safely Act. We have specific compliance department that ensures that the health and safety measures are observed in all areas, including environmental health and safety. We have sufficient personnel in areas of security, health, and safety. ECG stands on SANCO. Early year, after crossover night event, the church goes into a 2-week recess. The period is used by the church administration to review activities of the previous year and also make plans for the new year. Further, the period is also used by all branches to develop and resolve all compliance needs. However, because of the incident that left our 3 congregants dead, the church extended the recess to 3 weeks to give the church time to mourn our beloved and console the bereaved. It thus came as a shock to the church to learn through the media of protests outside the Pretoria showgrounds in the first week of the church recess. The church hurriedly gathered that the protests were organized by the South African civil organization SANCO that, according to media reports, were demanding the closure of the church and the sending back of myself to my home country, Malawi. However, with the days and also increased media reports, we came to learn more about the motives of the protests. We gathered that SANCO had a couple of issues of concern regarding people that sleep outside our church premises. The issues of compensation of the people that died and the need for the church to take responsibility. It was just unfortunate that SANCO didn't initially engage us in any way to raise such issues, which arguably reflects the genuine concerns about the welfare of South African people. We may not agree with some of the methods and statements, but as a church, we share with them their concern for ensuring the safety, health, and security of every South African. It was against this that is why when the CRL Rights Commission summoned the church to mediation table with the SANCO, we felt it was an opportune and civil moment for deeper engagements. Through that meeting, SANCO and the church agreed on several points to consider in resolving the issue at hand, and we would like to appreciate both sides for staying within agreed terms. We are here today honoring the CRL Commission's summon to this hearing as part of the shared concern of a safe and secured South Africa. However, here is our appeal to SANCO. As a church, we feel we are also part of the community which SANCO protects. We therefore would like to call on SANCO to protect us as well. We wish to reiterate that we want SANCO to be the first to stand for us in some of the challenges we face in our operations. Closing remarks. We, the ECG International Church, would like to take this opportunity to reiterate its deepest apology to the South African people for the accident that happened at its Pretoria branch. Despite being an accident, as a church, we took, and we always do, full responsibility of the incident, and we are comforted and encouraged by the level of support from different South Africans from different parts of the divide. As a church, we remain receptive to advice and constructive criticism, at the same time working with every institution to ensure that we continue to serve the spiritual needs of our people in gatherings that are safe and secure. Thank you all.
Thanks, Prophet Bushiri. Maybe before we get in with questions, is there somebody else who's going to be covering any other part here so that we don't ask a question that is still going to be covered? Is it you who's next?
Mr. Richard will lead us with the issue of job applications and the process.
Okay. Mr. Richards?
Yes, my name is Richard Kamoto Ashan. I'm the Environmental Health and Safety Advisor for ECG International. In terms of church compliance, we have got a full health and safety policy in place, which is actually displayed across the church premises. We have a health and safety manual, which contains all the procedures that guide the church in how to handle and including the measures to mitigate any risks and everything like that. So we have evacuation procedures in place. We have risk assessments that we present before job. The church being conducted at an event center, which subjects the church to job compliance requirement. If we were maybe in another premises, like or other churches, we wouldn't be subjected to job. But because we do our services at an event center, which actually falls under safety at sports and recreation event, that's why we always have to make sure we obtain job approval before every service. There, in order for us to conduct the service, we've got stringent rules and regulations that we have to follow, which include having measures in place to make sure that every person on the premises is safe and danger. We are required by job to have sufficient security personnel, which are all registered under private security industry regulatory authority, which actually matches with the number of the services. So each and every service we do the head count, we know the number of people we have, and accordingly we have the sufficient security personnel. Secondly, we have the services of the emergency medical services, which we contract out, and we ensure that we make sure that those services are provided by the people or the company which is registered under the national section 1 of the National Health Act. We make sure we check all those things. And thirdly, we have sufficient marshals to control the crowd, which also depends on the number of people. So we always have meetings on regular basis on the Safety and Security Planning Committee, which is also part of the job requirements, which involves all the stakeholders in terms of public safety. We have the South African Police Services who attend, that one chaired by the authorized member as required by the Act. We have the emergency services and disaster management. We have the city engineers and also us as the event organizers. So each and every event that we conduct, we make sure that we comply. We have all those things in place. And also we have a number, we've contracted out the services of an event safety officers who is on the premises on full-time basis during the event. And that one is charged with the responsibility to make sure that all our policies and procedures are being implemented on site during the services. Thank you.
Anybody else? You were sorry.
Yes, I was. Thank you very much. We just wanted to just add a few other issues and perhaps reiterate. My name is Maynard Manyo. I'm from the Communications Department, and I'm here with my colleague FM, who's the director. Part of the misconception we thought we should address is the first one is that we don't make money from the church, despite several reports and unfair reporting that seeks to paint the prophet as somebody who is out to milk the pockets of the poor. The people who come to our church are coming for salvation, they're coming for good news, and they're coming to listen and understand the gospel of prosperity as it is preached by the prophet. If you look at our attendance numbers, people when they come to church, they tend to give you 1 rand, your 2 rand, your 4 rand. If you combine all our attendances, it's barely enough to be able to just pay for the rentals alone. Outside of that, you look at the other costs that the church incurs. There are pastors who are employed, there are security personnel, there are people who perform different duties in the church who need to be paid for. We have church offices, we have buildings for which we pay rentals for. Our contributions to charity, for example, are maybe 10 times more than our own rentals. So if you were to balance up our books, you would realize and understand that the man of God does not make money from the church, and the church is not built for profit. If anything, the prophet in his personal capacity, together with our mother, are the biggest contributors in the church of tithe, of offerings, etc. Were they to personally withdraw their contributions to fund the church, I think we would find ourselves in the red. Unfortunately, we have never been painted in that way. And as he had said, we have been victims of repeated attacks, based on fake news. Just a few weeks ago, for example, I think a few days ago, there was a story that insinuated that our father was involved in an inappropriate relationship with a member of the church. And the pictures which were used in this article were cropped out pictures which were photoshopped. It was a group picture taken with several youths, and everybody was removed from that picture. And the picture was superimposed on a background to give off this impression. Whilst the paper did come out and clarify their stance, for example, there are no guarantees that the people who read this prominent story would have caught a small retraction on the bottom of the page. My father's alluded to just about 3 stories, for example, where he has been incorrectly quoted. And these are things that we come across every other day. Unfortunately, nowadays, news is not just limited to conventional media organizations. Anyone who can design a website can write a story. We have been assaulted at length by a newspaper called Mzansi Latest News and Jokes, for example, which has 900,000 followers. They have written stories which are wholly untrue. Quite recently, we've also been victims of reporting by news websites claiming that the prophetess was on her deathbed. As you can see, she's standing right next to us. And all of those things are untrue. And we just wanted to reiterate that we're not just victims of speculation, but we are victims of misinformation. The prophet being a global brand, everybody who runs any kind of news website feels it necessary to ride on his wagon, and we come across these kind of stories each and every single day. And the last point was that what we also just want to reiterate is that the ECG church in Pretoria is not a church for foreigners; it is a church for South Africans. Outside of the country, there are several other ECG branches, as our father has said, in Zimbabwe, in Malawi, in South Korea, in the US. And the local people in those places are the ones who attend church services. ECG Pretoria is just about one branch of the several branches that we have across the world. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else? No one. Okay, just a few questions of clarity. What is the current situation with the church now? Is it running? Is it not running? And if it's still not running, why not? And if it's running, what systems have been put in place.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Currently, like we always do each and every year, we've submitted our applications to the JOC for compliance certificate, which we've been saying we've been issued with throughout the year or the years of operation. We've done so. Allow me to inform you that our application has been granted, to the effect that we're sitting here today with a certificate of compliance to say we can proceed with our normal day-to-day services, which we're starting this coming Sunday, the 3rd of January. So we're resuming our church services. We consider that as a running of the church. Other than that, we've been having our normal activities which we normally have, such as the International Visitors Program, God meeting, prayer and fasting programs. So officially we're resuming on the 3rd of February.
Okay. And at some point during the mediation process, the church mentioned the issue of a memorial service. Are you still married to that, or are you just resuming with the normal situation?
We're still proceeding as planned. We'll make an official announcement when the church service resumes on the 3rd. We still have all intentions to do so.
How much do you pay for rent? They're saying you're paying for rent at the showgrounds. How much is it?
The rent that we pay, it varies per month, and the reason for such variation is due to the fact that on an ad hoc basis we'll use certain halls, or sometimes we may not use certain halls depending on the service that we have. Like on a Sunday, with the number of people that come to church, we at all times required to add certain halls. So based on that, the rental amount comes to an average of between 800,000 to 1.1 million every month that we pay for rent.
Okay. Can we go back to the event in question? On that day, how many people were there?
Look, it's difficult to give an exact figure, but given by the standard of normal procedure, we can safely say at most we're reaching maybe close to 15,000 people. It was on a Friday service, which normally says a delivery service. We normally attract masses on a Sundays rather than any other day in which we have our service. So on a Monday, such as when we have diplomatic service, we know we normally average around 5 to 10,000. So, but on that one, allow me to, based on our estimation, to say it was almost roughly around 15,000.
So normally you would have, let's say on this day, you had 15,000, your estimation. Out of those 15,000, how many were inside and how many were outside?
There's a hall known as Hall C. This hall was at that time full capacity. It normally takes around 4,000 to 6,000 congregants. We, at the time, opened the hall, which is Hall H, which is normally referred as our main hall, and overflow, which normally carries combined 4,000 people. And this also normally have our Hall A, which also takes around 4,000. So that's what the situation on the day.
Okay. But there are also people outside. who were outside on that day? How many people were outside who were not in hall, whatever, hall A, H, and C? How many people were in the outdoor overflow? That's what I would call it. Who were not under a roof.
Look, I think on the day the focus was on Hall C, which I've already indicated that it was full. So people were directed to the other hall, which is Hall H and overflow. So these are the people as they were coming in. They will go straight to Hall C. Remember, Hall C was, during that season, we're using our Hall C as the main hall. So whoever comes through that gate will walk directly straight to the main hall, which is what this day was Hall C. So these are the people as they were coming in were found to be loitering, roaming around, because they will most of the time, or people whenever they come to the church, they want to go where the prophet is. So that has become a focus area where everyone was going. So this, by that I'm illustrating that it shifted the focus to the other halls. And this is when I say that in this hall C we had 4,000 to 6,000 people. The remainder or the balance of the 15,000, these are the people as they were coming in, were directed to Hall H and Hall A. So these were the people who were walking up and about to proceed to those other halls, as the main hall, which is Hall C, was full. So to estimate, allow me to say roughly almost 4,000 people, I can estimate that they were outside heading towards the direction of the other halls which were open at the time. So this is when the storm came in.
I think too. Okay. I think also to add up what he's saying, the stampede did not happen to the main hall of that day. The stampede happened to the overflow of Hall H. And it is not people who were inside trying to walk out when the stampede happened. It is people trying to enter into the halls. And as he indicated, as I also indicated into the report, that day we had a storm in Pretoria. There was a heavy rain in Pretoria. So those who were outside waiting to enter into the halls, as he has said, that we first fill one hall, then the other hall. So the hall which I was supposed to be in was already full. And so people were still outside waiting to get into other halls. That's when the storm happened. There was a heavy rain. And that's when the people now were forced to enter into other halls because to find shelter. And that's when the incident happened. I think that's what you were asking. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that time there was, in this hall, particular hall, there was a stampede, there was no any person when the stampede happened. So it was people trying to go in. That's when the stampede happened.
Okay, maybe I'm reading too many news feeds. Were the people sitting outside or were they coming in? Was it because the halls were full and then they were sitting outside and then the storm started and then they rushed in? Or were they arriving at that point?
Normally what happens from what I know is when people arrive, some people enters in the hall where I am, the big hall, which is called the main hall. Those who have come area, they enter into that hall. Due to the masses of the people that you attract, you would normally find so many people coming, and we have got a tent, a big tent, which is called the holding tent. We call it the miracle tent. So people normally go and sit in that tent, waiting for the directions of marshals to be told where they must go. So I think that's much he can explain. It's a technical answer, which he can answer what normally happens. But then when people go into miracle tent, they are laid into different halls by the marshals at the church. So by that day, the first hall was full, which is the main hall. And there were people who were arriving, who had not yet entered into the main hall, trying to find where to enter. As we have said, that normally people would be rotating around, others buying food, others maybe waiting to enter in other halls. So these were those who were outside some just moving around, waiting for the time for the service to find other halls, as the main focus of the hall was already full. So normally when it's full, some people will be waiting outside, knowing that they're going to have other halls which they will enter eventually as overflows. So these are the people who, when the storm started, they had no choice but forced to go into these other halls because of the storm.
Okay. Okay.
The time of the incident, when did that take place, and how long before the service was that?
All right. Normally I start the services at 10 o'clock in the night, and the incident happened what time? Around 5, 6. That's when the incident happened.
Okay. You were supposed to add something? You want to add something? Can you switch off Prophet?
No, my father, Prophet, has already answered what I wanted to add on. To say that normally when people arrive, we keep them in the holding area. We've got a very big tent where we hold up to 7,000 people a day. And then we have the marshals who lead them into the halls that they're going to sit in. So they are guided from the holding area to their sitting places. But on that day, what happened was that some people were like lying around, some just arriving, some buying food, some chatting, because it was actually hours before the service. So they were forced to rush in because of the rain. So that's what caused everything. So people did not wait for our marshals to lead them into the halls. They just started running. Yes.
Just a follow through on this one. Are there people who sit outside the halls, all halls combined? Do you ever have people spilling outside the normal halls who would be hearing the service from outside?
No, we make sure that we accommodate everyone in the halls. We book sufficient halls. So what happens is that when one hall is filled, we add another hall, and then when we see the people are building up, we book another one. That's why we say that the rentals vary, because there are sufficient halls there, and we book some of them on ad hoc basis.
Okay. To add on what
yes.
To add on what he's saying, and also to follow up on your question, we normally have an area which is referred to as an open ground. So this is when we accommodate the spillover of people that we normally have, but this rarely happens. It only happens once in a blue moon when the prophet announced something special that it will happen on a day such as festival and this when we eat Holy Communion. Yeah. When normally is announced that it's Holy Communion, this is when, which normally happens once a month. So this is when we'll have a spillover of people.
We also take approval for that.
We find people that are sitting outside, which you refer to as a spillover. And as far as the compliance issue is concerned, we've done our best to get approval for that. However, there's a room of improvement there as well, which now we've undertaken as a resolution on our side to make sure that no spillover, no matter Holy Communion or special services. No.
Okay.
Chairperson, in your overview regarding the entrance of the church in South Africa, and you did mention also that its growth necessitated that you make a sufficient provision for security and marshals. Now, I want to know on this particular day, what was the role of the security and the marshals? Because my understanding is that the marshals must direct people as they come to call A, B, C, whatever. What was the role of the three very important staff members in your organization on this particular day?
Oh, no, thank you so much. You will note that our church has got a lot of people who come to church. And first, let me bring this to your attention. The overflow of the whole age where the stampede happened actually is the smallest place compared to the other big halls which a stampede didn't happen on that same day. Our church, when people are coming, they don't come one or two when they're entering at the gate. We have got thousands entering, especially at that time, around 5 or 6, with thousands entering. As I earlier said, to say on this particular day there was a storm, and these people who had just entered, these thousands who were just entering, before they even went to the miracle tent, that's when the storm happened. And they had no choice but to find shelter. And that's when the stampede happened to the hall, which actually is a very small place of the event. So it was beyond their control as marshals to direct the people. As we initially said, it's something that was not foreseen or something that the people knew it would happen in my report.
In your job preparation, is storm or whatever not part of the risk for which you must prepare?
Yeah.
We actually, it's taken as part of emergency preparedness procedures, but the way it happened, it was it started suddenly. If you, what happened was that our marshals and the security personnel were still guiding the people, but what happened was that the magnitude of the thunderstorm and also the amount of people, they pushed forward because this thing was happening towards the entrance of the hall. So wherever they were coming from, the marshals and the security did their best, but it just happened that you can guide the people, but if someone trips and falls, then obviously people start falling, and then people, when they are pushing from behind, then people can get injured. So that's exactly what happened. But they did all they could to contain the situation.
How many marshals were there?
We normally have, on such service, we normally have about 100 marshals. And we do the ratios of the security personnel, which averages between 20 and 50. So because that time, it was 5 hours before the service started, we had, minimum amount of people, but of marshals, that we had over 100 marshals and 25 security personnel.
Good morning. I think my question would be, I'm grappling with numbers, the 7,000 of the tent and the 4,000 in the wall. When the disaster occurred, in a normal space you're saying the 7,000 wall is the holder. It can hold 7,000. And the wall is 4,000. Already the stampede is occurring. I'm trying to figure out that if marshals were there noting the 7,000 and the 400 and the 4,000, meaning therefore if they go to the wall, already the space is minimum as compared to even if they would as occurred if they've gone to the tent. Maybe also my question would be, what measure did you use or tools you use, seeing that the numbers would be more going to the wall instead of them going to the tent? Is there a siren that you use? assembly if there's a problem, because I know that in many cases also here, when we've got a problem, there's a siren that will tell us to assemble outside. So what measures would you have used to caution, to say already the wall is overflowing at 4,000 and we have a space of 7,000 that people would have gone to eat? I mean, the marshal redirecting them to the 7,000 when they see that majority are running to wall edge. What tools did you use if you did not, and why? And why were they not, directed immediately? I understand what you're saying, Prophet, but I'm asking, if you looked at the numbers, they were too big and the wall is small and there's a space of 7,000. I'm trying to understand that.
All right, thank you. As we said it before, to say the incident happened not to the hall where the main service was supposed to be, the main hall. The incident happened, actually, most of our marshals were even surprised that there's a stampede. As we have said, these are people who rushed to a place where they were not told to rush to. These are the people who wanted shelters, as we have said it before. So it was, we have a system that we have put on safety. It's a system that all our church members, they know and they follow. It's a system that, as we have said, we have been in Pretoria. We have opened the church in 2012 in South Africa, 7 years now operating, and the majority of our time we've been in there over 6 years at the same venue. We have never had such incident. 3 days later, after the incident that happened on Friday, we hosted a biggest event in the same venue, and we had nothing of such report happening. On the 31st December, we had the biggest event. We had actually also storm. We had also rain throughout the night, but we managed to control the situation because of the measures, safety measures, which we have in place. But on this particular day, as we have said, that these are people who are moving outside. Maybe some were buying food, some were just arriving. They are not yet used the system which we normally use. So these are the people who just rushed when they saw the storm. They just rushed to an overflow, which we had not yet assigned the marshals and everyone else to control. But otherwise, if we didn't have the marshals on that, they would have a very big disaster. But actually, it was minimized because we had the system in place, everyone in place, and like this particular hall, where these are people who are maybe closer to that hall, they just rushed on their own into that hall, and the incident happened. But otherwise, in all other halls, we didn't have such type of issues. There were measures and controls that happened.
Okay. Maybe to go back to the question of marshals and how they marshal people in. So this was how many hours before the actual service started?
It was around between 4 and 5 hours before the actual service.
Okay, so it normally happens that people arrive early, as the prophet said,
Yes.
and then hours before the service actually starts. So when people come in, they are marshaled towards the main hall, firstly.
When people arrive, most of them, like normally, they will, because some people arrive very, very early, and because these are rented premises, and we do have times that we do have permanent homes, and some of them do times. But so we put them somewhere, and then when it's close to time, and when all the arrangements have been made for their sitting, we take them, the marshals who welcome them from the entrance, and then take them to where they're supposed to wait, and then we take them straight into the halls. When one hall is about to fill, we start leading them, we start making arrangements for the next one until all of them are accommodated. So our marshals, they always have they have their radios, which they use to communicate with each other. So we do have these systems in place of communication on what is going on, or what is happening, or what needs to be done next. So on that day, it did not happen because of the numbers. It happened because people were just rushing and they tried to beat the system because they were in a hurry to run away from the way.
Is there someone who is a marshal here among your team? A marshal officer again?
The marshal is not represented here, but I do write the procedures, so I think I can answer some of the things.
The prophet made a comment regarding the system. There is a system that is put in place, which I think older members are aware of. At what point do you ensure that the system you have is made known by the new people who are acting? At what point? Do you have a center where you say all the new people walk through this before you enter here, so that you understand how we function within this big environment? Because it's an environment which anything can happen at any given time. I just want to know that. Which is why that question I would ask a marshal, not just.
Okay, just maybe I might not be able to answer as you are expecting, since you say you want to speak to the marshal. But in terms of the such procedures, as I said, I do write those procedures. As a church, it grows day by day. We always have new members all the time. Now, as an event as well, we don't have sufficient time because people come at different times, whereby to induct delegates on what to do, because they come slowly, maybe in tens, in 20s, in hundreds, in thousands. So it's that makes it difficult for us as a church to have an induction session for the people. But what we do is we have, as I said, we have sufficient marshals, and we make sure that we have sufficient security. And this security are not our own security. The venue itself, Funding Event Center, has got experience of handling large crowds. So they're the ones who provide the security. We sit down, we project the number of people, and then we hire them accordingly. So from the entrance of the gate, the people are told what to do, where to go by our marshals. And then the security, they wait as reinforcements. So that's why, like even someone who has come there for the first time, they're able to follow the system until they're used to it, because eventually most of them become members, so they know exactly what to do.
Around the jock issue, who's actually involved in what departments and everything like that? And of the officials, who would attend your events at any given time? Is there certain of Tswane's personnel or whatever that have to attend the event?
All right. I love this question. Thank you so much for this question. This is one of the most important things that we also wanted to present here, and also to SANCO. I believe that we as a church, we are members of SANCO, because I know what SANCO represents and what SANCO is all about. I know that SANCO, one of their objectives is to provide a better and safe community. Not only that, but also the objective is to make sure that there is the delivery, service providers, the deliveries are well and good for the communities. We as a church, we normally apply job, compliance certificate, which you normally get, and We have had events happening in Gauteng. Shockingly, each time we have an event in Gauteng, the same certificate which we apply under job, we have got everyone on the ground. Remember, our church is categorized as an event at Swan Event Center. We don't meet there as a church. We meet as an event. So the certificate which we normally apply for is not a church certificate. We apply an event certificate. Meaning to say that we are supposed to have the backing of the city, starting from the metropolis to control the traffic, since we've got a lot of cars there, the disaster management, the police patrol, and also the paramedics. We think that since we comply to job, we suggest or think that these services are supposed to be part of the provision towards our programs which we do as events. But we have never had such type of services being given. We believe we are also the community, and the church is the community. And if in any case, actually, the SANCO was supposed to be on our side to fight for us, to say what is happening with the church, where are the services, where are these things, why is the church not having the following? Because at the end of the day, it turns out to be a Bushiri issue. It turns out to be an ECG issue. But we ask also here that SANCO should help us, stand with us, and make sure that we have also the services which we need. We also request the city of Tswane to work with us hand in hand, because we're the community, over our programs which we do at the Tswane Event Center. When we go to other, in Rustenburg municipality, when we do the same applications, we have got everyone in place. For example, yesterday we had a leaders meeting in Rustenburg. We had everyone. We had the disaster management in the place, the law enforcement in the same place. But we don't have these services in Pretoria. We have never had that. I remember when we have got services which we apply. So we also request that I think going forward, the city should also consider us on such type of programs. Maybe providing patrol or providing any law enforcement to make sure that everything is in order. Otherwise, we are also the community. We also deserve the benefits that every community receives. Thank you.
Just a follow-up before I hand over to the two commissioners. On that day, you said you are medium risk. Is that the kind of level you have been given?
Yes.
What does that entail if you are medium risk?
As a medium risk category, we are supposed to have all the essential services according to the numbers expected, which means we make sure that, as I said, we have all the marshalling plans in a written form, waste management plan, security plan, marshalling plan, and we have adequate sanitary facilities in place, and we also have crowd control and emergency procedures in place in written form.
Okay, who was supposed to be there? What services? Because the prophet says there are services you're not getting. Switch off, please. There are services you're supposed to be getting that you're not getting. I want to stay there a bit. Who was supposed to do what from the city?
Okay, thank you. I think the main issue is that on the day, be it on the 28th of December or like yesterday, we're supposed to have the presence of the police in the form of SABC. That's what medium risk category entails. So allow me to say, it's also safe to say on the day of the stampede, we suppose you've had the police on site, so we will be sitting with this charge that we're facing here today. They comply with that requirement to say they must be at all times, be at the area where we have our church service, as also is classified as an event. So we're supposed to have police presence at all times.
Oh, okay, you are on this one because I don't want to leave this one. The issue of police presence, because it links up with who moved the bodies and for what reason, and we're not going in there. But our interest is in if the police were supposed to be there, and of course the police are investigating basically themselves, that the bodies were moved. If the police had been there, then the police would have moved the bodies. So the upset, have the police ever been there, or was this just a one day off thing? Or are they always there for other services?
As I said, when it's a medium risk, they are supposed to provide in the act what they call essential services. So those essential services, they include the police presence. We are supposed to have people from the municipality responsible for disaster management. We are supposed also to be supported in terms of medical services in the form of public ambulance, just like any other event. So those things we are supposed to have.
All right, let me just...
Can you stay with this, commissioners? Because I think it's at the core of what went wrong. Okay, so you stay.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Okay.
Check this out. This is not the first meeting to plan for the event. And if they say they have not received services from SAPS, what I want to check is whether you have raised these issues with them. With the category on which you are requires certain services. When it says you comply, it means those services must be rendered. Now I want to check. Have you raised these matters with them? Is on record.
All right, maybe let me answer it in this way. For our understanding, the application of job, that's what it means to raise these issues to them. Otherwise, we wouldn't be wasting our time every Thursday having a meeting with a job if we are not saying we need you here. So the reason why we apply job is because we are telling them that we need you, we need your services. So that's why we've been applying this under job. We're being compliant with the job. So for our side, we're being compliant. But from their side, I don't think it has been happening. So I hope this mediation will also help us, together with the city, work together from now forward.
Okay, just to get a bit of history over here so I can understand the process. You guys have been at the church for 7 years. I mean, have you been at the showground for 7 years?
5 years.
5 years, okay. So you've been there for 5 years. The numbers that you've been getting to the showgrounds, have they incrementally increased over the last 5 years, or have they been the same?
For the past 2 years, we're going to say they are much more the same, because we have a strategy of making the numbers reduce by opening so many branches, so that people who are from other parts, they don't come to Pretoria anymore. They attend the churches from their branches. So that's what one of the ways we've used to make sure that the number we have maintained the number. So when we see that the number is increasing at a certain level, we normally do that.
Okay, but what I'm trying to understand, obviously 5 years ago when you started off, you had less than you have now because you've become more popular over the years. Is that correct?
Yes.
So Jock would have seen, because you've been applying for Jock from the beginning, because you're an event, you're not a church. So Jock would have seen the increase in the numbers as they became bigger and bigger and bigger, and they must have been more aware of the requirements of emergency services and stuff over that period of time. I'm just putting it to you, Chair. Over that period of time, the alarm bells must have started ringing that this is becoming a bigger event. So how did they adjust your strategy over the last 5 years to ensure that you don't run into a problem?
We've actually, as a church, taken the burden upon ourselves by increasing, like contracting out private service providers. As I said, the emergency medical services, when our numbers increase, we also increase, accordingly, the number of ambulances present on the premises. And that has added to, a change, carrying a lot of costs, which would have been maybe avoided if those essential services were being provided by the city to the rulers. Yes. The same thing applies to the security. We also increase the number of security. So we have, when we've got a big event, we hire more security than our normal services, which would have maybe reduced if there was the presence of other public security personnel.
Maybe just one small thing. I heard him say you meet with Joint Operations Committee every week, or once a month, or
we submit. Sometimes we are given just on a weekly basis. Sometimes we're given on a monthly basis, depending on what we're given. Yes, depending on the events.
It's here and then I'll come to get your hand up first.
Thank you, Chair. Prophet, let's look at the emergency medical services. You talked about there were people that were injured, of course, and you came up with 17. But where I'm going is the medical operation plan. Who supplies the medical officers in your church? Because it also says that the city might provide or might not provide, which I'm not certain of that. But who supplies it? And where were these medical services coming from? Were they from you or from the church? Including the ambulance mentioned, because there's also supposed to be valid ambulances on site, and the medical liability cover as well.
I was actually part of the people procuring the emergency medical services, the ambulances that are there on site. At first, we were taking them straight from the landlord, which was Swabak, the owners of the premises. But then those people, they started increasing their rates, when they saw the numbers are growing. And we sat down with the landlords. We together jointly identified another service provider called Remicure. They are well established emergency medical services in Pretoria with all levels of paramedics, and actually it's owned by also the medical doctor. So it's a very big and well known with all the accreditation to provide the services.
If I may do a follow-up, on an average day, how many ambulances do you have on site? And on that day, how many were there?
Normally, we'll have between 3 and 4 ambulances, and we'll have 1 or 2 rapid response vehicles on site. But because their offices are not far from the showgrounds, they always have backup.
And if I may add on that day, we have our own in-house, like indicated, that we contracted to by the name of Redicure Emergency Services. On the same day in question, a backup was called were in Tswane, medical emergency services also came on site. If you follow the news, you'll know that they even made a public statement that they also came to the scene and they were called to come to the scene as well. So that is part of beefing up medical team to say you always have such services on standby on the day. Just wanted to say that.
On that day in question, when the event occurred, which led to the passing of the 3 members of the church, how much time did it take for both the paramedics and the rapid response to come to the scene? That's the first question. The second question, the deceased were declared dead on the spot or they were declared dead in the hospital? If they were declared dead on the spot, who certified that they were dead?
Maybe before he answers, I think part of that is part of the police investigation because it's about moving of the body, so we'll not get into what the police are investigating. So you don't need to respond to that. I think the police will ask that question about, maybe you can answer about your medical people who were on the ground. They were already there, I take it. They are there stationed and then informed the Tswane emergency. So how long did it take for the Tswane emergency people to arrive?
As to how long it took, we're not sure. It's also part of the investigation, I believe. But our ones already came always on site. They were available and quick to attend to the scene.
The Metro Police, were they there on the day? Because what we're trying to work out here is what are the gaps in the system that you normally use. So when you said the police were supposed to be there. The Metro Police, according to their list, were supposed to be there for traffic control, road closures, etc. Were they there on the day?
If they were there, they were not visible on the day. So allow me to conclude that according to our observation, they were not there. And it is also an issue which we've been trying to raise with them, because as far as the traffic issue is concerned, we battled and we've been always consistently requesting their assistance, but in vain. So on the day, allow me to say it's safe to conclude that they were not on site.
Okay. So, okay, Prof.
What I have here is the checklist, job checklist. Do you have a complaint certificate?
Yes.
Can we see it? Can we see it?
Okay.
Forward.
They'll give us documents later in case they need to be photocopied and whatever. Let's go back to the bigger plan. The church started with how many people when the church started? Right at the beginning.
The church started, I think, with about 35 people in the beginning.
What is the beginning? What year?
In 2012.
Okay. So in 2012, ECG had 35 people. And when did the prophet arrive?
In 2015.
Okay. So in 2015, roughly how many people were there?
By that time, there were 200 something.
Okay. From 2015 to 2016, you were growing. At what rate, roughly?
In the summer 2015, the church grew up to about 15,000 people. The same year.
So you arrived around which month?
January.
You arrived in January, and by the end of 2015, there were
15,000 registered.
15,000 registered.
Yeah.
So, in 1 year, you moved from 200 to about 15,000.
Yeah.
Same venue?
Yes.
And then now you're saying you have about?
Now registered in Pretoria alone is over 100,000. Those who are registered as members. And at the very same time, at nationwide, the whole country, we have over 700,000 registered as members. Almost to 1 million. That's at the national, from the national level.
Okay. So my question will be, now that you realize, sometimes as you become more and more successful, challenges happen. Does the church have a plan to find a bigger space, to own its own church, to conduct its own services? What has been the process? Because at some point the media reported that a plot was donated to the church by, I think, Tshwane municipality, if my memory serves me well, in some media reports that the church got land from the Tshwane municipality. Can you explain that maybe?
Well,
the land question.
Thank you. Those are what we call them speculations. We have never received any donation of land from the Tshwane municipality, and we have no any land under that municipality. However, the church bought land, purchased land in the Midland, which falls under the Johannesburg municipality. So the speculations of land donation and also getting land under Tshwane municipality are completely false. I would also say that we are at the high stage now with the land which we bought in terms of approvals. We are getting to the final stages, and we hope very soon we're going to have all approvals and begin to build. Thank you.
Okay. So you already have plans as a church to build, I take it, if you're
Yes.
looking at the
Yes.
Okay.
Your communication person indicated that people come to your church not to pay money, but they come for salvation and prosperity. Is it right?
Yes, I got that.
And it indicated that, in fact, the budget of running the entire enterprise, the church, comes from your tithing. Now, you are talking about building, securing land and building. Why are you going to get the money? The reason for this is because when we started with the commercialization of religion, we invited you here. Unfortunately, you were still in Malawi. Your team came. We never saw how much money you were making. So we're not so sure really whether it's money from the pocket, money transferred from you to the church, or money from the community. Would this make sense?
Yeah, no, thank you.
To answer.
Yeah, thank you. But such type of financial reports are available, and at your request can be provided to your office for just to see them how our church finances run. I'm not part and parcel of any financial management at the church. There is a special branch that manages and runs church finance at our church. However, our church has got partners, we call them donors, people who donate on any project. For example, the land I'm telling you that we bought in Maryland, we spent about 66 million rands, which was completely donated by our well-wishers who are our followers from across the world. So some are sending from America, some from South Africa, some from Malawi. Yeah.
So you intend building?
Yes.
The ultimate plan is to build and move out of the showgrounds?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So the funds to build, are the funds there, or your well-wishers are looking at a possibility?
Oh, thank you. First of all, as I said before, that we have got partners who normally when we call for any project, they avail themselves. These are our followers in the church. So currently we have done first stage because we divided into stages. We have done the first stage and the second stage. First stage was the purchasing of the land. And the second stage was to do with payments, to do with people who are working, managers, provisional services and other things. So that was another budget which was also there. So we have done these two stages. What we're remaining with is approvals. Once we get approvals, because we cannot raise those funds now in advance before approvals. When we get approvals, then we cannot take it to our followers, our partners over the world, well-wishers who now partner in the construction of the church.
May I take you to something you said earlier? I think one of you said about the Metro issuing a media statement around the church not being compliant. This was broadly covered by the media, that the church is not compliant. And you said it was fake news. How did that happen?
We should tell more as to how did it happen, but I believe the city of Tsane will furnish us with good conclusive answers to that effect. All we know from on our side, we had liberty to meet with the people who came to inspect the church. These are referring to emergency services, Tsane emergency services, whom we inquired from them as to did they have any knowledge of this paper which is flying around all over through the media, and they did not even blink to deny knowledge of such. We even went to the director of City of Tsane, director of compliance, who confirmed that they are not part of that, and they've also noticed that it was issued at the bottom. It indicates that it was issued from the office of the mayor, Solomon. They said they've noticed that, but they are not part of that. They have their own certificate, which they issued as per what transpired on the day they went for inspection, which also they said it's only one thing, which was a fire extinguisher expiry date. According to them, this is the report which is supposed to be circulating if they had leaked it. But they haven't leaked it, they kept it on themselves. But this is the official report. They're saying that it's what they need to communicate to us. Nothing of taking us to a court or nothing of giving us 30 days that we did not comply or not in compliance. So they've since distanced themselves from such. So we yet to take it up with the city of Tsane, to be specific, perhaps the office of the mayor himself, to find out what exactly transpired, who issued such statement, and why, because it amounts to reputational damage to ECG as a church. So it's a step that we still intend to take because these are the discoveries of last week Thursday.
Okay, let me stay with that a little bit, because I think where we're coming from is about protecting and promoting the rights of religious communities. In this sense, I remember a lot of broadcast television, etc., covered the story of the church being non-compliant. And they were saying this is from the mayor's office or somebody there. So when you met with them, did they say they know nothing about this thing that the whole country knows now? That your church is non-compliant and you've got 30 days to make sure that you comply? Did they say? I'm sure they were also at home and they saw TV, radio talking about this thing. Did they tell you what their intentions are in terms of correcting the perception?
As I indicated, that these are the developments which happened. Allow me to say 2 business days ago, which is Thursday. The director of compliance, the director, the city of Thailand, the same offices where we have the mayor sitting, he has since confirmed that he will take it up with them. Like I indicated, we also still need to take it up with them. As for now, we cannot foretell the measures that they intend to take. We're waiting for them to come back to us. We're just happy and pleased to say that we're talking to the office which is supposed to issue us with such court if we were to be taken up to court. And there's no any other office. They also confirmed that there's no any other office empowered to issue us with such notices except themselves.
Okay, we'll take it up with the city, because I think there should have been a media statement by now correcting whatever, because I don't think even the media here wants to run with fake news at any given stage. So fortunately they'll be coming tomorrow, and we're going to deal with that part. Yes, Prof.
As part of the broader understanding of the church and its work, and trying to capitalize on the information regarding the issues of salvation and prosperity, I want to ask a question which I think the Prophet would gladly answer. In your view, what constitutes the exponential growth of the church from 50 to 1 million now? Now, what products are you selling, or what programs are you offering?
All right. Generally, we offer leadership trainings, and I normally say that I'm a leader, and being a leader, I also have to produce leaders. We have systems in place that I have created, which are basically they produce the leaders. And for anything to grow, it needs leadership. So much of what we do at the church for the growth of the church is much to do with, first of all, the leadership. We provide a lot of leadership to our followers, to the youth, to women, to men's department. Not only that, but also the preaching, which I preach is a preaching of hope. It's a preaching of forgiveness. It's a preaching that leads people to understand how much God loves them, which every preacher preaches in the country. But it is through this preaching plus the combination of leadership training that makes this spontaneous growth of the church. as I speak to you, in Pretoria alone, we have about 10,000 leaders only in Pretoria. So, which I was meeting them yesterday to plan about what should we do to tackle issues to do with what the SANCO has raised. Because we have engaged SANCO past week. We had discussions with SANCO, trying to come back to sit together and make sure that what are their concerns and what are our concerns, and how can we meet together and end this problem together. So we had a meeting yesterday, and as I said, we have about 10,000 leaders in Pretoria alone. So the system of leadership which we use in the church, it is what has led into the growth of the ministry. As one of my media persons said, that the church which we are dealing here is not a foreigner church. It's not a church of a foreigner. This church, the directors of it are South Africans. This church is owned by South Africans. This is a church for South Africans. And noting that I'm also a permanent resident of South Africa. So would say that the growth of the church has much grown that because of the combination of leadership as well as teachings, which we teach in the church, of hope and faith.
Okay, just to hook up on that, your growth has been unusual. I think as a church you are also aware that when you grow so fast in such a short period of time, it's not a normal thing.
And that's why we need the SANCO.
Do you do TV adverts or radio adverts? Do you have a program on television?
Not that I know. We don't have TV adverts, but we have our own television, which is called the Prophetic Channel, which normally broadcast live programs, which we do. There are special events which we announce. We announce about this big event, we have that event. More like, for example, the crossover night that we announce, but we don't announce on any other TV platform apart from Prophetic Channel, our own platform. But normally we don't. We don't announce our programs.
You know what I'm struggling with in my head is you had 200 people, then you had 500 people. You don't have adverts. How do you grow the church? Because I think even other prophets would want to know, what is this magic here? And people are supposed to protect and promote. You see, we're trying to promote here. What is this thing, and how do people then know? Because for them to go into your prophetic channel, they should know something that directs them to the prophetic channel. How does this thing work from your perspective?
I would say that I think I've mentioned I am a leader, and I am a person who raises leaders. The system that we have put in our church is that even this way of mine, he can preach to you. You know?
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, so our leadership trainings have made the growth of the church, because as I said before to you, to say that people in our church, they don't follow miracles. Some people think because miracles happen, healings happen, then the people go there following miracles. I would tell you, no, that's not true. Like yesterday, as I said, I had a meeting of over 10,000 leaders who actually drove to Rustenburg just to sit it down and plan and strategize, not looking for prayer. So that shows you that the level of learning in terms of the things of God and the kingdom of God that we have imparted in them, it is what makes them, to love the church, to love the ministry. So it's all about making the people understand, because most of the people who we reach out to are the people who are not church goers. There are people who go to church and those who they don't even go to church. And our main target on evangelism, we target those people who are church dropouts, who don't go to church. Some have never even been in church. So we take them and make them know the importance of the church, and their role to the community. So that's why I've got leadership trainings over the whole country, where we are training them and teaching them. Not only that, but we also train them apart from spiritual things. We also train them like the Monday program, which I train them in terms of business to be self-reliable, not only depending on faith. I understand that people who say, no, I can just be in my house and they believe in miracles, then money will come on the table. We have a program which we actually train our members not to be that type of people, but to be people who can be business people, entrepreneurs. So, in a nutshell, I'm an entrepreneur who trains my people, who trains my followers, entrepreneurship. And these are the things which most of these people don't find them elsewhere. So they grow up and they also become entrepreneurs. And then they inspire others. And then those others also are inspired in the church. They inspire others. So that's how the network has been.
Yeah, I'm interested in a church dropout. I'm afraid, where do you identify a church dropout, seeing that I haven't been to church for 3 weeks now? I'm beginning to panic that I'm now a church dropout.
Yeah, I think we're also inviting you for Sunday service.
Why does the church drop out? I'm getting
No, all right. I
panic
think
now.
when we say church dropout, these are people who, I can give you examples in my church. Some are even in this room who never went, some of them, to church in 10 years, 11 years, 12 years, and some were actually just, out there somewhere into robbery, somewhere into what. Our main focus is we reach out to such people. And some is because they haven't been shown love and they feel not loved by anyone else. So we reach out to such a community, such a person, a South African, who has lost hope. Our leaders find that person and begin to tell the person that God loves you. And we have cases where a person will be like, I don't think God loves me. That's why I left the church. So we reach out to them. We do counseling. We have got a tribe in the church that does counseling. So people actually come to church to have counseling. So those are the things which actually have also made the church to grow, because we have got so many people out there who needs counseling, who needs to be, to grow. Some of them, they just need to be comforted. Some of them are passing through depression and all that. So we've got people in the church who provide spiritual counseling to the people who come from anywhere who are looking for such.
Do you have any women pastors or whatever in your church?
The first woman pastor is actually sitting next to me.
Oh.
She's also a pastor, but we have also a lot of women pastors in the church who are pastoring in different departments and also in churches.
Okay. Well,
maybe my interest is in the beginning you talked about your church boosting economy in terms of the religious tourism. Can you take us through religious tourism? These words are coming from you. One might not know what's religious tourism.
Religious tourism is simply a term used to explain about the tourism which is attracted by religion. As our church programs, we have a program called International Visitors. We had actually one yesterday at one of our hotels in Rustenburg. International Visitors Program, these are people who come from different countries who would like to come and receive a prayer. Some are sick, some they're looking for just spiritual upliftment, so on and so forth. So we do receive people from America. Yesterday we had about 56 countries represented from different countries, about 56. We'll talk about America, South America, Central America, Guyana, all those countries, they come for prayers. So as we said, that the research which was made by one of the lecturers in Pretoria indicates that these visitors, normally, I'm not talking about people who just come to pray from other countries. I'm talking about the registered international visitors who register. Noting that every week we've got thousands of international visitors who just come to worship with us, not registered. They just come to sit, worship after service, they go home. But those who register, these are those who are coming from different countries, America, more especially far countries, some even South Africans who also just be like, I want to be part of the International Visitors Program, which is about 3 days. So they normally stay at in hotels in Pretoria, where they are accommodated there. They pay a certain amount of money, which media always confuses with. They are paying to Prophet Bushiri. But they pay a certain amount of money, which includes their transportation from the airport, food, accommodation, and any other thing that can be needed for them. So when they come from different countries, they are accommodated in these hotels. Southern Sun in Pretoria, almost many of the hotels in Pretoria. So, as I said, tourism, you can see that they are coming to Pretoria. Some they come to South Africa to look for animals, some they Table Mountain, but these ones are coming to seek religion. So hence, religion, tourism being mentioned here. So they come there, they spend their money there. Remember, they have to pay for hotels where they're sleeping. They have to pay for food. They have to pay. So these are what we are trying to say that is boosting the economy. Not only that, job creation in Pretoria has boosted since we are in Pretoria. We have hundreds, if not thousands, of people that have to be transported from one place to another place. Now, we're talking about taxis there. We're talking about buses there. That's accommodation. Now, if you look at tourism creates about 7 jobs, 7 jobs. One tourist, it creates 7 jobs. One from the airport, you see. The one who picks the person is paid there to take the person to the hotel. There is a cleaner there in the hotel. There is a waiter there. There is, so you look at the whole network from there to church. So you can see that a lot of tourism has been positively affected in Pretoria due to religion tourism.
Maybe Mapunas will conclude with how much does it cost to have one-on-one with the with the prophet, since we know that people allegedly say you pay 7,000 to 25,000 on one-on-one. Is it that true or not?
Those are speculations.
If not, anyone sees you without any payment.
Actually, we are having this meeting without any payment. So,
is the bill still coming?
Yeah, so actually, as I said in my presentation, to say you can actually sneak one a day just to go there and see. I pray for people for free. There's no any person who would come out to say, for me to be prayed for, I pay this amount of money. Remember what I said. There is International Visitors Program. This one is not for free. Why is it not for free? Because you are supposed to sleep for 3 nights. You are supposed to eat for 3 nights. You are supposed to eat for 3 lunches. You are supposed to have breakfast. You are supposed to be transported. So that's where these costs are coming from. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. You want to follow up on that?
Yeah, I want to follow up. The brief I want to go into is about directorship and ownership.
Sorry to just interrupt. I wanted to request if we could be allowed for the prophet to use about a few seconds.
Oh, yes. Let's take 5. I also need 5. What is the number of that one? Try and lower it before Hama faints. I heard the prophet was freezing. And my lungs is very hot. So I should have asked him to bring his blanket. Yes. Yeah, we're wrapping up before the others get agitated.
They are moving on, which is fine. Which is the church ready to move on. And we just
The Methodist Church. Oh.
I mean, doesn't have this explanation.
Yeah, no, shame. They miss the methodology.
I don't think
Shole, I saw Bishop Shole, Archbishop. I know, but are on mainstream television. But if they're saying that's not a true reflection, maybe they discovered it, they should have stayed not behind closed doors. They are ashamed. Poor soul. I don't know how to explain this mainstream channels. Yes, I know them. I say, you see, when the PNC, when the still church being non-compliant, maybe they'll tell us something. Ukama is done. Food water is done. In the church. Then enter. So there's no ownership. When I enter, no, he said the church is by the community and not by you. Because when you register as an MC, nothing forces you to, so you can't register as a company. You've been enough capacity. You can wrap up. Yes. Val will be wrapping up the system. Yeah. West was. The system must keep you fast.
Yeah, they are trying to switch off. So we'll be ready until the next 3 minutes. So there is an extra plan that when you leave here, we don't do interviews because they are going to crowd you. Yeah, but I'm going to tell them that we're going to go.
SANCO. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, can we and continue? We're at a stage when Prof wanted to ask something. We're about to wrap up. Yes, Prof.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. I was attracted to the religious tourism when you unpack it and the benefit it accrues to South Africa. Now I want to ask you the question. Are you a prophet who is an entrepreneur, who uses the entrepreneur attributes, skills and competencies to advance the word of God? Or when you speak about winning the souls, are you trying to say the only thing we do in an impoverished country such as South Africa, where South Africans, majority of them, are not participating in the economy, yeah? In terms of ownership of the economy, control of the economy, management of the economy, the only thing you do is to win our souls?
Thank you so much. As I said, our ministry has got two programs. One, a program where we reach out to souls, people to come to Christ. When they come to Christ, the second thing is to empower them. Baloy here is one of the testimonies that have empowered him. He has a law firm now where he is. These are such type of the things I'm talking about, to say we don't just preach to the people. When they come to Christ, we now begin to grow them spiritually. Not only that, because we know people get confused in prophetic ministries. When they see miracles, they think now they're going to go home and sit down and not contribute to the community. This is why there's a special program on Monday where people come and learn godly principles of entrepreneurship and how they can affect their communities.
Okay. There was something I think Baloy said about the 3rd of February starting the church. Was that the plan from last year, or did you want to start earlier? And if you had wanted to start earlier, what stopped you from doing that? Or is this part of the plan, the 3rd of February?
All right, let me answer from what I said, that our plan was to have 2 weeks of recess where we have normally a break. However, it was increased with a week due to the mourning process which we had dedicated towards the deceased. Right now we have one Sunday which we were supposed to do yesterday, but we used the last Sunday for training our leaders to say now we are going back to church. So yesterday we were busy doing the leadership training and making sure that everything is put in place. So the joke approval which we have is for this coming Sunday.
Okay. So everything has gone according to plan. Nothing has disturbed your previous plans.
All right. It's not according to the plan, as I indicated. That our plan was for 2 weeks, but due to the incident, that's why we had to extend. Yes, our plan was to open the church on the 20th of February.
Okay.
Of January, sorry.
Okay, so the city has issued you with the compliance certificate.
I think that Baloy can answer that question.
The issue has issued us with a categorization, allow me to call it certificate, in which after we submit our plan, compliance plan, thereafter they'll issue us with the compliance certificate. I think that meeting is going on now as we speak, but it's normally, there much of a hassle to get the certificate. It's normal procedures, maybe as a checklist that he was referring to. It's a matter of ticking. Otherwise, for now, we have the categorization to say for the 3rd we may proceed. We'll have the certificate issued within some time this week.
Okay, and what is your level of risk?
Level of risk still the same, it's medium risk.
Okay.
Is this not an admission that you did not comply before? Or is this a new form of compliance after the event, after the occurrence? Because, there was an argument with regard to initially you did not comply. Initially you did not comply. Now you're going to go through another form of compliance. Is this a negation of the previous one, or is it just a process going forward?
It's by no means an admission of non-compliance. It's normal procedure. We go through this every year. We go through this every month.
Every week
So
sometimes.
So yes, even every sometimes, and sometimes even per event, depending what kind of event they're going to have. So this is the normal process. We switch, nothing strange.
Okay, as we go towards wrapping up, do you have a church in Malawi?
Yeah, we have a church. It's also one of the places we have the biggest following in Malawi. We recently had a big conference in Malawi where we had over 45,000 people attending the conference. So we have a very big church in Malawi.
In Botswana, what's the situation in Botswana?
In Botswana, it's I understand now everything is sorted in Botswana, but they had a small problem in terms of solving their constitution in Botswana is different with South Africa. So they had a problem in terms of how they should incorporate the prophetic church and the constitution of Botswana. But I understand that they have put it in a way they're supposed to, because I had instructed some of legal people in Botswana to help them, because it runs independently. Our churches in every country, they run independently. So it was the independent affairs of Botswana in terms of making sure that the church has been registered under the laws of Botswana. So I think what they did was they took the constitution of ECG South Africa and they wanted to use the same one in Botswana. So there was a problem of registration until they have put it in the way that they were supposed to put it. So for now I understand everything is okay.
Okay, so you're free to go back to Botswana, or the church to operate in Botswana?
The church is operating actually already in Botswana.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, Prof.
Is the church dependent upon your presence, or it can run without you? Suppose you decide, I'm going to stay in New Zealand and not come to South Africa. Would the church still have the same character which you have formed?
Yeah, I think from what you have heard me saying that we have got branches across the country and home cells across the country. From my records, we have got over 1,000 branches. That's branches and home cells. And that tells you that it's an independent church. You see, branches means they go to church without me being inside, and they knock off without me being inside. So the church on its own is running. It's an organization that is running. As I said before, that I am a leader who raises leaders. So it's all about understanding the system that we have put in place. As I'm speaking to you now, there's ECG Cape Town running. There's ECG Durban running. Right now as I'm speaking to you, yesterday I had a service in Randburg, in different places of South Africa. So the church is completely independent by the structures and systems that I've put in place.
Okay, are there any questions from the church? We are allowed to ask us a question.
I have a question.
Yes.
My question is to understand one thing. Why our church is sidelined from the benefits of the community. Two, why are we not feeling being part and parcel of the community from the SANCO? Because we understand that SANCO is there for us to protect the community. And the church we're dealing with here is a community. As a community, as I've said it before, we are having problems in service delivery, which is one of the priority of SANCO, to make sure that every community has got a service delivery being provided fairly. And secondly, I as a person, I also look for the protection, the benefits of SANCO. I have got personal properties in this country, and the SANCO protects such type of people who have got personal properties in the country. I understand that from the SANCO objectives, that it's the responsibility to protect, citizens. I would ask to say, why is our church being referred as something illegal or something that does not deserve the SANCO attention and the city attention? Because as I've said, we comply with the city, and we deserve to have the, even if there's no police, but at least just a patrol where they just come to move around, and there's not a relationship between the community as well as the municipality. We don't have those benefits. We have got great traffic happening in there due to so many people, and the municipality is aware of that. But we have no any, that such put in place. So our question is, what will CRL do for us as a church to help us to mediate with the SANCO as well as the city, to make sure that we are on the same table? I know with the SANCO have gone so far in terms of discussions, but we also request the CRL to also request the SANCO that they should understand that we are part of the SANCO. We are the community that they fight for. We deserve the same benefits and the protection from the SANCO. And it's our request to say, would CRL help us and intervene on the subject matter, as well as also the SANCO also intervene on this matter, because we don't want to look like the community is fighting with us, well, we are that community. At the very same time, we don't want to look like we did not do what SANCO told us to do, yet prior we never had any request or any formal letter from SANCO. So we just want to find out how can we work hand in hand well with the SANCO onwards, since now you're mediating, but after that, the aftermath of this mediation process is what matters, but otherwise it will be nothing. After the mediation, we want to work with the SANCO. We want SANCO to know that they are part of us and we are part of them. We are the community, and as I said before, that we have a lot of people, and this is coming from Pretoria community. The majority is from Pretoria community, and they deserve also to have the same benefits and the same protection, just as any community member of Pretoria deserve it from SANCO. Thank you.
Okay. We'll pass on the message to SANCO. We'll meet them now. But maybe from the CRL Commission, we should ask whether you feel abandoned by the CRL Commission, so to speak.
I would say yes, I would say no. But the yes is in a small percentage, and the no is in a higher percentage. I would say this because of the following. Number one, on this matter, much of the times when we are called by the CRL is only when there's a problem. We would also like to be invited by the CRL, not only when there's an issue. It doesn't sound well for us, more especially for myself as a clergyman. I feel that I'm part of also the CRL. I feel, that I should be involved in any area that I should be involved. You do conduct trainings, you do conduct a lot of activities, but I think we are not, much invited to such. So we are also requesting the CRL to make us feel that CRL is not only there when there is a media thing or anything that is there that is a hassle. So we request the CRL also to be there for us, not only in problems, but also whenever we need training and lessons. Because some of the problems churches are committing now, it is because of lack of knowledge. You see, so CRL brought the laws how the churches must be governed and ruled. But without civic education, how will those churches follow suit? Since I began to come to CRL, I've learned so much that I feel those other churches who are not invited, who have never been here, they know nothing. So I would also request there that whenever there are meetings that need our attendance, we must be invited for such meetings. Otherwise, in terms of the percentage, is the yes is very small, and the no is high. Why the no? Because each time there is an issue, CRL has intervened just as you intervene to any church. You have treated our organization, our church, just as you treat any other organization. So on that, I would say we are not sidelined, because you have always been there to make sure that our rights are protected.
Okay. Oh, maybe get to the, you hardly ever invited. Maybe we should formally invite you in front of everyone. February 13, Rhema Bible Church.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and if you're not there, then people will know. It means we've been inviting you before.
Yeah, and they also know that I'm the only one who was invited publicly, and the rest were invited formally on a written letter.
Okay, thanks a lot, Prophet, and your team for coming.
Thank you.
We will be issuing the report and our recommendations before the end of this week. Yes, we're hopefully going to do that by Thursday, because we feel this is an urgent matter that needs to be resolved, so that in your next meeting, which is 3rd of February, all systems kick in. Then whoever is supposed to be there is there. Whatever is supposed to happen, happens. So, thanks a lot for coming, and we see you brought your pastor.
My wife.
Your wife. Thanks a lot for coming. We had never see people who bring wives. Wives are usually left at home to cook and clean and whatever. So thanks a lot for championing
Thank you.
the rights of women.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, yeah, get the next thing. Oh, yeah, thanks. What a plan. Unjani? Sekufika umafungwa sebalayikhaya. Sengakucheck. We are here. I think that so that we continue to the next one. Beata, can we continue with the next one, please? Val? Okay. Yeah, I know. There was no accuracy. There was no accuracy. What is it? Oh, yeah. Talk to Oprah. We're waiting for you. How did you go? We can't. Okay. How does that work? No South Africa. And if the leader is something that's supported from the center. I was